Okay, welcome back. I rarely, if ever, post 2 days in a row, but I was wrapping up my previous episode about apologists, and this one just fell into my lap. I could not pass it on, so here I am on my mic. I'm confused and I need some clarity here. So, welcome back to this space. And if you're new here, this is a space for some spiritual reflection, some culture commentary, and some honest questions. Sometimes we're confused, like today. And if you're not new, thank you for coming back. You already know. So today I'm feeling confused, like I said, and I genuinely do not know what I just watched. And I need you all to help me make sense of it. I am talking about the viral Jubilee episode that is titled Jordan Peterson versus 20 Atheists. Yes, that one. I'm fairly certain you have seen it or heard of it. It has 4.3 million views at the time of my, recording. And I came and watched this episode expecting something, but what I got was just confusion. So I don't get it. Maybe you do. Let's talk about it. Hear me out. It's just a thought. All right. I'm not sure what happened on that stage. So Jubilee, if you're not familiar with it, they usually do set up some pretty interesting and thoughtful dialogues between opposing sides. They have a lot of episodes that get a lot of views, and they decided to do this type of one versus many episode where they invited Dr. Jordan Peterson. And if you don't know Jordan Peterson, you can Google him. You won't be, missing information. He is known for his intellect, his psychology background, even his style of speaking is pretty famous. And there's a lot of skits that are done about him. And in this episode, he was pitted against a room full of atheists. And so you watch the episode, my initial reaction, even from the title, right? Jordan Peterson versus 20 atheists. I had a question mark because what does that mean? But I thought, you know what? Let me go and listen to the episode. We might learn something. It might be very entertaining or actually life-changing to witness. Who knows? I got into it. And the people that were the atheists, let's call them that, the atheists were, some of them were just curious. Others were very confrontational. And some really clearly came in with a point to prove, which does happen with these episodes. What I don't understand that I witnessed, and maybe you did, is Jordan Peterson himself, because he was not really arguing. He was, from what I saw, kind of meandering, doing some philosophy in there. He was responding to direct questions with some essays and just going on tangents. And at times, it just felt like he was not answering really anyone at all or arguing for Christianity, which could have been disappointing. And in my case, was disappointing because this could have been such a meaningful space for faith to be clearly and boldly explored. And so I felt let down by that, on top of being confused as to why he was the one selected. So I did what every normal human being that is on the internet does. I went straight to the comments after about, 5 or 6 minutes of listening to it. And the comments typically do reflect what's happening in people's minds. And the people were not having it. If you have time today, tomorrow, whenever, to go watch that episode, pause it and go to the comment section, because I feel like that's how we all feel. And so some people wrote something like, hey, I came for a debate. I just stayed for a TED Talk that I never understood. People wrote that Peterson always sounds like he's fighting some ghosts in his head. And the most important type of comment, and that I do agree with, and this is why I'm bringing it to this podcast, is how are you going to represent Christianity and not mention Jesus, or at least not say that you are a Christian. And yes, that part, people were confused and visibly irritated and just straight up underwhelmed. I think it's the same for all. And many Christians in the comments, I didn't take time to comment, but I do feel it. They felt let down, and they felt like Jubilee missed in an opportunity. And I agree, because in my opinion, hear me out, it's just a thought, he was the wrong guest, right? We are not here to drag Mr. Peterson. He is brilliant. He's done some really good work. And, for men and for young people and for, people that are seeking structure and meaning, I do have his book here that I have plugged into my conversations with friends and family. But in this specific setting and in this format with these people, I do not think he was the right guest. And so if you have been following his latest conversations about Christianity, although on his channel you will find a lot of theology, a lot of studying the Bible and looking at it from a, like I said, theology perspective, I do not think Jordan Peterson has ever claimed to be a Christian. I do not think that he has ever shown any type of behavior or any type of reflex or any type of angle here that would make anybody think he's a Christian. And so even in this conversation, when I saw his name, I thought, well, why? Why him? But I was still open to being impressed, or maybe, looking at a new Jordan Peterson and I was excited at the opportunity to possibly hear him speak about the gospel, talk about the gospel to 20 people. But his answers were very high concept. They felt inaccessible, in my opinion, or half the answers were just not answers. And I need to say, following yesterday's episode that I made about actual apologists that I think are doing wonderful kingdom work, I have to say that if somebody is to up there to speak to regular folks like you and me and the next person, with humility and clarity, I think then we have, in that case, lost part of what the gospel is about, right? The gospel teaches about Jesus. Jesus walked among people, right? Fishermen and tax collectors. He was using parables to make sure that his message was understood, not PhD talk. And I think that if you can't explain faith in a way that a young person can follow, then something is off. And then also, when you're asked, the most viral moment from that episode was a young man telling him, well, you're Christian. And Jordan Peterson says, well, you're assuming that, or something like that, right? I've never said that I was a Christian. That's bizarre, because if you are going to debate 20 atheists, I'm guessing Jordan Peterson is a theist, but I know that the episode was initially titled One Christian versus 20 Atheists. And so we need to first assess who's Christian and who's not. And I felt like that was a miss. So where was the gospel, right? This part actually matters. The thing about Christian apologetics, if you're going to be debating or talking to atheists, it's not to win argument. That's not the point. The point is to point people, pun intended, the point is to point people towards Jesus, the person, the Redeemer, the Savior. And I felt like this whole conversation, which was about an hour, I would say around an hour, I don't recall hearing the gospel very much. And a Christian apologist, at the very, very least, should make it clear who they follow, right? A Christian apologist, like I mentioned on yesterday's episode, they typically make it clear who they follow and how everyone else can follow him. And so Peterson, I felt like he danced around that. Maybe he didn't want to get into it too much. Maybe he was overthinking. Maybe he genuinely doesn't know where he lands, although I doubt it, but it was just very unclear. And I think unclear Christianity is not Christianity, unfortunately. So I don't know what you thought. I'm not sure what the point was. I'm not sure why Jubilee would set it up like that. Maybe it was just a trap. Was it a trap? Was it a show of intellectualism? Was it to start this conversation, in which case it's a total success? I'm not sure. I feel like Jubilee tried to have a moment, but instead, I guess they gave us something weird and we're still scratching our heads a little bit. So I want to hear from you. Did it confuse you further? Has it changed the way you look at Christianity conversations and faith conversations? Did it change the way you look at Dr. Peterson? Have you ever thought he was even a Christian at all? Which I'm pretty sure he's not. Anyway, let me know. Of course, you can connect with me on Instagram as well if you want to talk about this on the side, and you can drop your comments below. And as always, I cannot wait to hear what you guys think. I will see you next time.
What if your child's next breakthrough is just a page away? Introducing the Little Book of Big Thoughts. This gem is packed with 25 engaging lessons that spark curiosity and build wisdom for kids ages 5 to 10. From kindness to courage to authenticity and boldness, everything is in there. Perfect for bedtime, learning time, or any time. Give your kids the gift of wisdom today. Available now on Amazon.